Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, we will come back to our discussion on mine closure and sustainability planning. In our previous classes, we have described that the objectives, and then we started telling about this integrated mine closure. Exactly this, how we will be integrating the interdepartmental works and their phase operations. In today's class, we will be talking about what is this work coordination, and then what is interdepartmental integration. Moreover, this mine closure activities, as it is planned to be implemented in phases. So, that integrating the different phases through a proper that control and monitoring system is very essential. So, that as we are going to do a planning of mine closure, we will have to know how exactly it is affected in the real life mining operations. So, this effective mine closure can be achieved when your coordinated completion of the works of different departments take place, because the closure is an interdisciplinary approach, and it is to be done while the mining operations are going on. So, that is why this coordination, where we talk about that integrated coordination, it integrates the efforts of different employees. You will have to coordinate the experts of mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, your worker, your horticulturist, your agricultural experts. All these things will have to be coordinated, and there should be an unity of action, and this unity of action will be giving an ongoing process. So, in that process, a process is a sum total of different actions, how it is integrated, and then there will be certain function. Because of these, all actions will be coordinated towards a particular function which will be pervasive. It will be going to that its result will be seen in different ways at different sites. So, that is why it will be a pervading one, and then ultimately you are coordinating to a deliverable activity, that what you are going to deliver it on. You will have to think on that activity, and then you will be giving the proper deliverance. So, this is what a coordination is, and in a departmental integration, you will ensure that the collaboration and teamwork across all areas of work internally within the organization is going properly. So, that is why your safety department, your environment department, your mine production department, your material procurement department, different departments are there. So, when we are managing it for the mine closure, you will be requiring some contribution from all departments, and that is why you will have to ensure that departmental integrations. And so, your exactly the whole mine closure that will be planned will be a multi-phase mine project. So, this whole closure, mine closure, as I told earlier, will be an integral to that mining operation. It is not a separate thing that it will be done at the end, not like that. So, it will have to that your planning activities will also go, that is your, when you are doing the early exploration, and then you will be appraising the deposits, that where it is there, then you will be doing a 3D modeling, and you will be evaluating based on the delineation of the ore body, and on that basis you will be determining the economic feasibility. This is how the planning goes, that initiation of your whole mine closure planning will be from that explorations data, and then when you find out, you develop a pre-feasibility of the mining operations, and then you look into the feasibility, where you will be a progressive planning. That is, when you are doing, you are getting more planning input. On the basis of the planning input, you do it over there. When you do look into different alternatives, after this your in the alternative, you will be now finding out that when you are producing, what are the challenges coming, their information collected, your planning again will get changed. So, in that, here from the pre-feasibility and all, you will be finding out who are the stakeholders that will be engaged at the time of closing, and then your environmental assessment process will have to be integral of this. Now, when we know that, from there the detailed design will be coming. Exactly, the planning and design will be done simultaneously to get the execution level. Now, when you will be planning this, the development and operation planning, that exactly will be giving you how to execute, and the permitting agency, the government giving the clearance to operate, they will look into this phase, how you have planned, because ultimately how it will be closing will be depending on that, your all environmental assessment, whatever it is coming. Now, when you are doing this closure, after that post closure, what will be going. So, now you can see the planning is also an integration of different expertise, and their execution and management also. That is why when we talk about mine closure, it will have to be an integrated mine closure. A mine closure cannot be considered in isolation. So, now you have got that concepts of this, how coordination and integrated mine closure is carried out. Now, we need to know, as a word, you must know what is called your work integration, what is your mine closure, and what is life of asset framework. We have talked in number of classes about that. When you are doing your mining, your mineral deposit is also an asset, land is also an asset, and all this equipment, machinery which you are procuring are also your asset. Each of them has got certain life, and that life of asset framework is an approach by which you will be deploying them. Now, the mine closure, it should be there exactly at the time of closure. There should be only certain remaining life of, or certain remaining value of the assets are there, that will have to be exactly auctioned and sold out, and then whatever is not there, they will be scrapped, and as a scrap value it will be disposal and decommission. So, those things are integral part of it. So, that is why when we talk about integrated mine closure, after this lesson you should be able to explain the concept of integrated mine closure. So, I think that whatever so far I have said, if you have understood the meaning of it, then you will be able to tell and explain that what is integrated mine closure, and then you can describe the activities for implementing integrated mine closure. What are those activities to be carried out, and then develop a life of asset based approach for mine closure. So, that means at what time which asset will have to be discarded, what asset to be procured during your life while doing your mining operations will have to be integrated with that, how you will be exactly carrying out the decommissioning of your mine to actuate the mine closure. And you will have to know, that is your, if you are doing in this particular way, you are going to integrate the things, then what are the benefits you will be getting, that also you should be able to tell. Now, how to integrate mine closure with life of mine planning? Now, we are doing now very clearly that mining is a temporary activity. Mining has got a definite life. After the life of the mine, we will have to close the operations, but there are challenges that during our mining we do distort the whatever is existing in the environment and nature. So, it is our responsibility to return the land, return the environment to the next custodian in the best possible way, and that is why we will have to not to plan the today's production, but we will have to see how tomorrow my liability will be coming, and to that this integrate, we will have to integrate our operation. So, this life of mine planning when we will be doing, and in our operation when we will be working considering our final liability and final responsibility, then our integration of mine closure activity to the operations will be achieved. Now, for that what is required, you will have to define your closure vision early, that at the end of the mine what exactly you will be getting and what you will be returning to the society by following what closure principle and what are your closure objectives. So, that should be very clearly defined as early as possible in your whole mining life. And then your closure development plan, and that how the different stakeholders will be associated with that, you will have to engage them early, so that they can get also involved into achieving the objective of closure. Now, we will have to have a proper knowledge base. As a student of mining or student of environment, you should be able to respect the value of data. Now, this data will have to be collected throughout the mine life. Many a times, if your data is missing, you cannot take the proper information, your planning may get, that is, there will be a risk of planning with limited data. So, that is why today when you are integrating this mine closure to our mining operations, you will have to give a more important to the how to collect data, how to acquire data, how to process data, how to exactly use data, and how to exactly create the expert system or expert knowledge base. That knowledge base creation is one of the challenges today, because if you do not acquire the data and if you cannot model or simulate that what will be the impact of it, how different data are related, if you cannot develop the model, then there will be a risk of taking wrong decisions. So, consideration of potential post closure land use of the former mine site is that is what you will have to consider, that is how you will be creating land use, because your after the mining is over, you have disturbed the earth's surface, you have taken some responsibility of filling some of the voids, then maintaining or designing a new topography, you are giving a new landform. After giving that landform, then you will have to exactly think of its uses, whether you are going to have it as a tourist place, you are going to have an edutainment place, you are going to have a other economic activity place. So, that is what will have to be considered in an integrated mine planning or integrated mine closure planning. Then identification and assessment of risks and opportunities throughout iterations of closure plan. Exactly, you might have foreseen that this will be achieved, but will it go? What things may go wrong? That is, the risk assessment is nothing but apprehending how things may go wrong, and if it goes wrong, then how exactly we can get it back. That is what will be the built in resilience. So, in your integrated mine closure or that mine closure planning, you will have to have a built in resilience. That means you have considered the risk, and those risks, if it occurs, if challenges come and everything gets jeopardized, after that how quickly you will be restoring and your whole normal production process will resume. For that, certain preparedness will have to be inbuilt. That is how in integrated mine closure one needs to do. Now, what are you going to do in your mine? Now, just think yourself of having a mining operations, and then you will have to do now in that how you do. You just think as an imagine your role model as a manager of a mines responsible for production, at the same time you are responsible for closing the mines after say 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, or maybe even tomorrow if something happens over there. How is your preparedness? To know that, you will have to revisit your closure visions at occasions. You should reevaluate, you see that, discuss it, keep people aware of what is exactly the closure vision is. So for that, you will have to list the planned activities, that if you are to do that mine closure, what are the activities, then assess their relevance, that why it is so, why it will be required, and list the actions required along with the time and resource allocation, because without time and resource your things will not come. And then you will have to examine the stipulated post closure and uses. So identify what are the actions so far taken towards it as a normal mining operations, how much closure related activities have been integrated with it and you are doing it, and list the risk and opportunities. If you do not do, what type of risk will be there, if you do it, how you can create some opportunities. So while you are doing a closure preparedness, the one thing is there, it should have an opportunity to derive some benefit at present also. That means you are doing you are building in a strong and robust system in which it is going to help your future, but at the same time it is creating present benefit also. And then specify if changes are necessary, because what will be there when you are going on examining, you will find out if whatever you planned and you have so far executed, if there is a deviation or changes are necessary depending on the today's conditions. Adjust the calendar plan if necessary. So you have got a calendar plan for related to mine closure this year. That means if you are having now say 10 years for closing your mines. So in this year, when you are taking out some of the minerals, you are creating some more voids in the underground, or your open cast mines, you have removed more overburden and you have dumped over there. Then your next year you have got certain plan. So you should plan that whether because of certain operational deviations, can you now start your topsoil spreading already, which is a passive dump. Your topsoil which you have kept at some places, they may have got started getting erosions effect because of by rill and gully formations during the rainy season. You might have lost some soil. Now whether those soil you have protected by a toe wall or somewhere, and from there can you collect them and spread over your spread. So that means it may not be there in your calendar plan of operations, or that is you are maintaining the topsoil in a year, it may not be there, but because of there were heavy rain, you have seen that yes, you are losing some topsoil. So maybe scraping from that's where the topsoil has spreaded and bringing it over there, you can spread on this, and by that you will be adjusting your overburden development activity. So this type of examinations are done in integrated mine closure. Now what activities will you require to implement integrated mine closure? So if we are thinking of this integration of operation and closure, what activities you will have to do? So first is that implementing closure plan both during the operating life of the mine activities of progressive closure and during the decommissioning time as a part of final closure. You will have to find out those actions which will have to be implemented and any incremental activities to be done while operations that you will have to carry out. Then associate actions to meeting specific closure objectives that has been defined and agreed. So maybe you are now having only 4 or 5 years to close. At that time you have got certain things, say you want to say some area to be vegetated, and you find out that could be maybe 200 hectare land is still left. That means now itself you will have to associate some actions. Whatever the other departments doing, you can divert some manpower, some resources, so that this work at the end of 5 years you will be reduced to that is why you are doing some more work. So, that rescheduling may be necessary. Then initiate monitoring and document and evaluate. You will have to, whatever is happening, that need to be monitored and collect the data, because if you are to evaluate the effectiveness of the closure activities towards meeting the agreed closure activities and their success criteria, that your whether you will be successfully getting this whatever you have projected as a closure, that will depend on how closely you are monitoring, and if any negative impact is coming, how you are exactly mitigating that. That will be your one most important activities to integrate for mine closure. Then develop well defined success criteria, that how it will get successful. For that, a success criteria will have to be enlisted, and in that you will have to consider that what are the input will be there and how different stakeholders will be exactly associated with it and their interactions. The stakeholder management is also a very important activity in case of your when you will be executing an integrated mine closure. And there are many critical factors may be there. Maybe your the political situation might have changed, your the business that economic scenario outside the world has got changed, and they may give something. So, because of that, a criticality may arise every year differently. So, you will have to always keep the list of those critical factors. Then implementation of the integration of progressive closure phase, how you will be implementing it. While the mining operations are ongoing, focus on implementing progressive closure. That is your, that we say that your progressive reclamations, when the operation is going on simultaneously you are doing reclamations, that is very important to implement it. And you must define the activities that will be required to test and demonstrate the effectiveness of closure activities. So, because the closure planning and closure activities only with a future. So, when it is time, at that time some of the parts you must implement and do it and see. You might have said that in a reclaimed area a particular plantations will be done, but thing is that whether that plantations will be success or not, you do not know. So, that is when you are doing some experiments now itself, then on the basis of that you can ascertain that what you will be how effective will that activities will be there. So, that is why you will have to do certain activities at present, so that you can get the confidence that it will be done in future. Similarly, you will have to initiate program to validate success criteria and build trust with the communities and the regulators. So, your corporate learning, it should be properly acknowledged, properly documented, so that whatever work you are doing at present, that should lead to a that should be exactly analyzed, that whether you are going to succeed or not. So, as an activity you must make a list of the closure demands, that is at the closure what the society, what are the different stakeholders will be asking for, and you periodically update that whether those change through is going to take place or not, how you are prepared. So, that is where you will have to exactly work. Now, as a learning exercise, you can make this list of the closure demands. You can take a case study of say Jharia coalfield, a mines like block 2 mines, or you can take say Kiriburu or Meghataburu mines, and then you think of when it is closing in next 4-5 years, then what will be the demands of that and how that is being taken care of, that will be done. Now, you will have to integrate the closure activities considering social transition. This is a very important thing, because when the mining started, the society was not as it is you see it today. There were a different type of people were living in the forest, they were living happily with their cultural heritage, they were singing, dancing, taking mahua, and then they were cultivating in that area. They were happy. Once in a blue moon they used to go to the city, then they used to bring only salt and maybe this some oil, kerosene oil they might have purchased from the neighboring towns. But in that community today, they are getting easily a super mall, they are getting all avenues, there is a marketplace, they can purchase, even the beer can be available over there. They don't go on making a mahua beer or rice beer at their home, because the society has changed. Now, when you are going to close at that time, maybe the flow of money will come down. At that time, society will be again stressed, and there will be some social transition will have to take place. So, you will have to recognize that what are the risks associated with the local dependence on the mine. If the local, that neighboring community, if you have made them totally dependent for their survival on your mines, then you are going to have a bit higher risk, because by your intervention you have disturbed or you have broken the chain for their survival. Now you will have to plan that this transition will be giving them the opportunity to live, and then you will have to make some actions so that even if their dependence to your mine will have to be reduced step by step by providing new workplace opportunities and new avenues for them to go out of that place. And that is what is to be done and integrated in the closure planning and will have to be executed during the operations. So, initiate actions to improve the legacy of benefits from mining activities. One thing is that many environmental activists, many people may be saying that the mining is damaging the environment, mining is damaging the cultures, come what may. But if you see, the mining creates a huge benefit not only to the local community but all over the country and its economy, and also our progressive human development. Now, in that, when we know that mine will have to be closed, at that time you will have to consider that area as a resource, and then that resources, whatever has now come, from there a new things will have to be done, and there comes the creativity and there comes the expertise of planning in a mine closure planning. So, what will you do in your mine? That is what exactly you will have to find out through a societal survey that will have to be made out. So, you will have to find out how the impacted community views closure, how they are looking into, how they are preparing into. That societal survey will have to be done, and you will have to get the opinion of the people that how the mine pit, waste rock dumps and the altered water courses will impact their community's present way of living, and when their mining operations will be closing, at that time how they are prepared. You will have to do this societal survey and then knowledge dissemination, so that the society also equally ready. They must know, yes, some new transition is coming, we should not be feeling happy with that, we are all fine. We will have to go out and do something new. So, based on the community foresight, list the issues relating to the social transition that would take place. You will have to think that whether they will be going out as a skilled work personnel for other industry. By now, by your interactions, they have seen your operations, and what are the basic skill, survival skill, your technical skill, your that is sports and other skills, those things you will have to generate so that they can go. And whatever you have done, you document it, and how the social aspect of the closure processes you have integrated, and on the basis of documentations, that will be a starting point for the community to go away with betterment for their livelihood. Identify the time and resources assigned to carry out tasks related to the social transition. So, this exactly what as a mine closure planner, and if you get an opportunity to execute, your job will be basically a change manager. You are a transition manager. So how to plan the changes? Don't let the change to change your actions. You will have to change the one you want a change. So define that what type of change should have to come, and you will have to plan scientifically, apply technology, apply knowledge, so that you can go towards that closure objectives. Now list all social investment programs of your mines and identify necessary skills to strengthen the company and the community capacities. While you are taking care of the community, you must not neglect the main functions of the company. If your company remains a good in its making profit and financial strength, then only the community can also get benefit of it. So that's why there should not be a enmity between the company's objectives and the societal objectives, and that is where if it is lost, then the social disharmony comes. And that's why while you are planning your post closure activities, you will have to look into that the community will be benefited, but you must know that the community will be benefited when the company's financial performance remain stronger. So for that, your closure costs and integrated closure plans are very, very important. That closure cost, it will have to be met by the company's profit making capability. So that's why the community must be also aware of that their full support for the way the business has been planned it should get. So the planning and comparing alternative, understanding financial liabilities, complying with the reporting and the financial assurance obligations, those are the things. That means as a closure planner, you will have to know the basic of the closure economics, you will have to know the total mining finance and mining economics, how it goes. Without that, it will not be there. So you will have to make in your learning portfolio a part that you will have to understand how the finance part is going on, and developing and updating closure execution plan. That means you have already made a plan at the beginning of your mines, but you will have to keep on updating, and your closure execution plan will be dynamically changing whatever operations for your production you have done today. That means if the mineral is taken out of there, you are getting a place that which will have to be closed. So that's why every day in a mine, the whole life cycle goes. Every day you are opening a new excavation area where you are removing the overburden and getting access, a newborn baby, like you are getting the new deposits there. And once your deposit is taken, that is again life is gone. That site is ready for closing it, and so that making it to delivering it to others as for the future. So identify the actions and resources required. That is very, very important. That only you will be able to support the planning and implementation of the closure. So you will have to do the closure planning, you will have to define what you will be doing and what resources will be required, and you will have to earn those resources and deploy that resources without affecting your present operation and present business. And when we do this, that is the integrated mine closure. So integrate through what if scenario, that is periodic evaluation of the appropriate what if. If it is a what if is the question you will have to ask, and then analyze scenarios to help minimize the disruption caused by unplanned events, anticipate sudden and unexpected situations forcing temporary and permanent closure of mines, develop preparedness plan. This is what is required, and then if your all things go well, you will be able to relinquish your site after closure, because after closure you will have to relinquish, you will have to come out of it, yes fine, I have finished my whole activity, and for that you will have to know what are the current policies for abandonment and close of the mine relinquishment. This is a question to you. Try to find out. In India, so far I think many of the mines they have not relinquished. You can find out from 1971 when coal mine was nationalized, is there any mine site and the mine leasehold area has been surrendered and given to the government or not. You try to find out. what is the standard to be followed for management of the post mining assets. Now, after mining, whatever is there, the building, house, roads and all these assets, exactly who will be the custodians, under whom, who can use them, or who will be renting it, who will be managing it, that is a things. Try to find out if our mine closure guideline gives anything on it. What are the rules regarding the third party engagement for relinquishment of closed sites? Do you have any business model that for that there will be a firm for relinquishing? That means we might not be having a business plan in our country as per our closure guideline, that whether you as a, now you are learning about the mine closure planning, you are learning engineering, you are learning data science, you know how to exactly administer the finance and economics. Can you form a firm, and this firm will be really responsible for closing and relinquishing? They will be liaisoning with the government to take over the site. So can government engage you to evaluate and see and take the mine from the mine owner, or the mine owner can hire you to prepare that whole relinquishment and then give it to the government, to the next custodian? This business has not developed yet in our country or in many countries, and that is opportunity. Maybe after 10 years you can develop such a company, and which will be a roaring business, because in India about 200 mines will be closed after say 10 or 15 years, and for that how much is the preparedness for the business plan? And that's why this course has been designed for you to develop that technological expertise within you. How to integrate systematic and gradual relinquishment is the things which you will have to, after studying this course, you should be able to answer these questions. Closure costs for integrated closure plans. That is, again, if you are thinking of this integrated closure plan, their closure costs, will it be different from that whatever being presently practiced? You will have to develop that. Developing and updating closure execution plans, developing, and that will include ensure adequate closure governance structures. How our present guideline need to be evaluated by you to see whether it gives any guidance that how it will be governed, that is your governance of the closure, that methodologies will have to be created. Ensure closure planning is integrated into the life of the mine planning, we have already talked about it. And then planning and implementation of the closure, effective allocation of the resources for closure, that is how you will be, that is also an investment plan, that is for the closure operations what you are investing, whether in which way they will be giving a return. That return may not be in a monetary value, but the return could be in a value creation. So that need to be again debated, and a methodology should be, clear cut framework need to be developed. Ensure a range of disciplines that are covered over here. Now what will you do in your mind? That exactly you will have to keep your things properly thought about it. So you have understood this, that means our whole operation will be going towards a effective closure, and that mine closure framework, as your ICMM has given, you should follow this one. That is, your closure planning and design will lead to your that final closure, and for that your this construction, operation and progressive closure, then closure and the post closure situations, how it will be coming, and then the progressive closure, it will be this monitoring and reviewing will have to be done, so that it lead to the final closure. And when you are doing your whole operations, then also this monitoring and review, and at that time different stakeholders will have to be engaged up to the closure, and planning and implementation of the social transition will have to be done. So mine closure functions are integral of mining processes and with commitments to the different stakeholders. So that designing for closure throughout the life of asset will have to be done. You can take a lot of examples how making areas available for progressive closure, sequencing the stripping and storage of topsoil, strategic placement of the potential reactive materials, designing waste disposal facilities, all these things when we do, it comes. So, we will be continuing these discussions to our next class, and we will talk about what is this your integrated mine closure and how we will be governing. We will come to this slide in our next class. Thank you very much.